Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of installing the Windows Server on a virtual machine using the Oracle VM VirtualBox. So what we have to do here, we can follow the instructions if you get stuck, right? So we still have the instructions on how to do this installation step by step. But let's continue here. We're just going to create a new virtual machine. So we'll say new. We'll call it server 1. It is a Windows 2019 server. So Windows 2019. We'll click next. We'll give it 2 gigs of RAM. Okay, this is physical memory. So it'll take memory out of your computer's memory and it will use it for this host machine. So that means that you should at least have 4 gigs of RAM on your computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop, because this is going to use up some of your physical memory. So we'll click next, and 2 gigs is enough just to run the basics. We're going to create a virtual disk, and this is going to be probably 20 to 40 gigabytes, but to be safe they say they recommend 50 gigabytes. Hopefully you have that space. Click create, and it's going to be a VirtualBox disk image. The other ones are for if you want to use this type of hard drives in other virtual environments, and other environments that can use this particular format, like VHD or the VMDK. But this particular VirtualBox likes to use the VDI. Storage on physical hard disk. This is going to be dynamically allocated. What this means that it's not going to eat up those 50 gigs right away. It will basically grab as much as it needs to up to that fixed amount that you selected. So the installation is probably 20 gigs or less, and as you start adding applications to the server or files, then it starts to fill up. But this is enough for what we want to do. Click next. The file location up to 50 gig is enough. Click create, and so now we have our server space configured. We're providing a virtual memory card, we're providing a virtual hard drive with the virtual USB connectors and everything else, a virtual system and RAM. So the next thing we need to do is we should add the ISO of the Windows Server. Remember, on your memory stick under Project 1, you have that server 2019.iso. This is like grabbing a CD-ROM with the server installation files, except it's now is located a single disk image in this file. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to mount it over here so that we can start from it and install it into this particular hard drive. So what we can do is there's several ways to do this. One is you can come here to this menu and you can go to media and you can go to optical discs, and over here we can say add. We can look for that server 2019.iso. We open it. Okay. And it should be ready to be used in here. Okay, we come back to the server, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the server. So I just click start. So this is going to start basically the hard drive with the installation and everything. So click on start. So this is like booting up a new computer, and it says, hey, do you want to boot off this virtual optical disk? And I said, yeah, that has my server files, so I want to boot up off of that, and I'm going to follow the instructions to install the server files. click Start, and this is loading the files out of that ISO 5 GB file that you saw. You get a few comments up here that it's integrating the mouse and a bunch of other virtual devices. You can just exit that. We click Next, and we can say Install Now. And this just takes a few seconds here to take us to the next step. And this is the part that you need to pay attention, because we need to make sure that we install this one, the Windows Server 2019 Standard Evaluation Desktop Experience. If you install the top one, it's going to be like a Linux machine. There is no graphical interface. You have to do everything by command prompt. If you want the nice graphics to manage the server, which we do, then we pick the desktop experience. The reason why you have the other one available is if you have a machine that doesn't have a lot of space or a lot of resources, you can start it in with the bare minimums, basically. No graphical interface, very similar to Unix, where you can start a machine just by the command prompt, or you can start it with the graphical interface. Now the data center part, that's a little bit more advanced. That's if you want to run a data center with a whole bunch of your own virtual machines, managed virtual environments at a whole other level. In this case, we're just going to have a couple of machines that are virtual. So the standard evaluation desktop experience is perfect. Click Next. Accept the license. This is a 180-day license, and just say this is fine. Actually, do the custom one, because that's only if you already have an old Windows installed in there, but we don't have anything. So we'll do custom. The hard drive here, right, it's a virtual hard drive with 50 gigs. So we'll just click Next. And this should be able to proceed. And now we just wait a couple of minutes, and we'll come back for the next prompt. Depending on your computer, the whole installation process takes, like mine took about 4 or 5 minutes. It might take more or less on yours, and it started up automatically. And so the server is coming up. So now it wants you to select a password. So for a password, we're going to select CSULB 1949. So let me see, these are all the steps to create the VM. Okay, so let's pick this password. It's capital C SULB 1949. So we're gonna go there. CSULB 1949. CSULB 1949. That's with the capital C. And you can kind of see it there. Right. Finish. And there you go. You now have a server installed, and it says press Ctrl Alt Delete to unlock. So you can just say input, keyboard, and you can do a Ctrl Alt Delete from there. And we put in our password, CSULB 1949. And this is creating the user profile of the administrator for the first time. So when the server is first installed, it really doesn't have any services installed. You have to install whatever options you want. So if you want to make it a web server, you activate the web services. If you want to make it a a file and print server, you activate that. But the first things that I like to do is basically configure the IP address of the server. This is a 2019 server, so there might be features here that I'm not too familiar with, but the first thing that I want to do is I want to configure the IP address. You recall on our previous video we talked about the IP address and how each machine on the network must have its own unique IP address, and how for servers we prefer to put in a static IP. So we're going to put in a static IP address of 192.168.1.100. okay, and that's going to be unique to our server 1. We're also going to use this subnet, and then the gateway is going to be the same as the server IP address. Alright, so let's configure that. Let's see, do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable? Just say yes. Okay. When the server first starts up, it gives you all these options where you can add roles, for example, to it, and this is where you'll be able to add the different like file sharing and things like that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to configure the network, and this is 2019 server, and actually this is the first time that I see this particular interface. I'm used to working with 2012, 2016 and other servers, but it's the same thing from what I can tell. I can just come here to the network icon, I can right click and I can say open network and internet settings. So it's just like your Windows 10 machine basically. We'll go to Ethernet and we'll go to change adapter options. We'll right click on the Ethernet card and we'll go to properties. And we have different protocols available here, right? We're not going to use IPv6 for this particular class, so we can just disable it for now. We can leave all the other ones, but this one is just the different protocols that are allowed to work on this particular network card. So you got the TCP/IP, which is the basic one that that is used to communicate across the internet. So let's configure that one. Okay, keeping in mind that that's the address that we want to use. So we'll go to the TCP/IP v4 properties. We'll give it an IP address 192. Say 192.168.1.100. We want a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, 192.168.1.100. Again, in the lecture, you'll be you'll go into depth into what this means, a subnet address and IP address. For the DNS server, you can also make this particular server a DNS server, so you can just point it to itself, which is 192.168.1.100. Click OK, click close. And so now the server has an address that we can actually go and look at. Do you want to allow PCs to be discoverable? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's look at if the IP address has been changed. So let's type some commands so we can search. So the command prompt is no longer found in the server. So what we need to do is we can use PowerShell. And what is PowerShell? So PowerShell is an integrated scripting environment that Microsoft developed. It's got a couple of versions of it. One is more of a graphical one, and one looks like the command prompt basically. So let's open that up. Let's open up PowerShell, the one that looks like the command prompt, so you can see what that looks like. I make this a little bit bigger also. So that's usually found under the Windows accessories. So if I go to the start here, we go to Windows accessories, and we can scroll down there. Actually, this will be under Windows PowerShell in this particular version of the server. So there's different versions. The x86 is a 32-bit environment. The ones that don't have the x86 are 64-bit environment. Some of these tools, powerful commands, only run on 64-bit environments, but let's open it up. So this is kind of like your command prompt, basically. I'll open that one up, and I'll open the other one so you can see what the differences are. I'll open the one that is more graphical. So people who are professionals in managing servers often become basically experts in using PowerShell. I actually took a class. It was like a 5-day class many years ago on PowerShell, and you can actually do everything that you can do through the graphical interface. You can actually do it through here to the command prompt, and actually it's even more powerful. There are things that you can only do from the PowerShell. PowerShell, you can think of it like your Unix. It's kind of like your Unix command prompt. Okay, let's try a few commands here. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to check out the network card settings that I put in. So I can do an ipconfig /all, and you can see that my network card has that address that I gave it. I also have the subnet mask and DNS, and I can see that I forgot to put in my gateway. So I can put in the gateway if I want to, right? I can just go back here to the network icon. Okay, I can go to the Ethernet connector, change adapter settings, options. I can go to properties. I can go to my TCP/IP version 4 protocol, and I can see that the gateway is empty. So let me put that in for now. We're probably going to be making some changes later on as we add different things to the server and as we want to have access to the outside world. But for now, I'll make the changes here, right? Here's that other command. If I want to see if this machine is alive, right, I can just type in ping. And this is not very practical for this one because I know that the machine is alive. But if you wanted to know that another machine is alive, you can do that. So 192. Oh, I mistyped it. So you can say ping 192.168.1.100. Alright, I'm just basically pinging myself to see if the computer is alive, but it is alive, and it tells me that it went out. It sent 32 bytes and it took less than 1 millisecond to make the round trip. Alright, so that's a little bit of PowerShell. This is where you're going to be able to run all those commands that are part of the lab, like the ARP and all those things. Right? You can run pretty much any command that you used to. So you can say ARP. Right? It gives you a little bit more data on the address resolution protocol here. Okay, you can type exit to get out. And so now we have a server configured. Now we're able to add some roles, and we can kind of see here where the next steps are. The next steps are going to be to configure the virtual box so that we can have communication and do a little bit of bridging of the network cards so that we can actually allow these machines to look at the outside world if we wanted to as well. Okay, so that will be on the next video, and then we're also going to prepare another VirtualBox with a virtual Windows 10 machine in it, doing the same steps that we did for the server. So be prepared for that third video for this lab.